a night I never expected. I never imagined I'd find myself in a situation like this. It was supposed to be a celebration, a party for my best friend's engagement. Little did I know, it would become the most important moment of my life, one that would change my marriage forever. The day started like any other, but there was an exciting energy in the air. My friend Sarah had organized an extravagant engagement party at one of the fanciest places in town. I had been looking forward to it for weeks. My husband, Mark, and I had just come back from a long vacation, and I was eager to have some fun after being stuck at home for so long. As I got ready for the party, I felt a wave of excitement. I put on a beautiful red dress that fit me perfectly, making me feel confident and vibrant. I couldn't wait to reconnect with old friends, enjoy cocktails, and dance all night. Mark noticed how happy I was and smiled at me, his eyes shining with love. Little did he know, I had other plans for the night. When we arrived at the venue, I was welcomed by laughter and the sound of glasses clinking. The room was filled with familiar faces, and the atmosphere was joyful. I spotted Sarah, who looked stunning in her white dress, and we hugged tightly. The first few hours flew by as I mingled, enjoying the delicious food and the open bar. After a couple of drinks, I felt warm and relaxed. As the night went on, I saw a familiar face from my past, Jake, an old flame who had once meant a lot to me. He looked just as handsome as I remembered, with his dark hair and charming smile. When our eyes met across the room, I felt a rush of memories and excitement. I knew I shouldn't approach him, but I found myself drawn to him anyway. "Hey, it's been a while," Jake said, flashing that charming grin of his. "You look great," I replied, my heart racing. We started talking and reminiscing about the old days. The chemistry between us was clear, and as our conversation flowed, I felt a thrill I hadn't felt in years. Mark was busy with his friends, and I told myself it was just harmless fun. After all, we were just chatting, right? As the night went on, the drinks kept coming, and I found myself more and more attracted to Jake. We shared stories, laughed, and exchanged a few flirtatious glances that made my heart race. I knew I was in risky territory, but the excitement was hard to resist. At one point, Jake suggested we step outside for some fresh air. I hesitated, thinking about Mark, who was still enjoying the party, but my doubts faded, and I agreed. The cool night air hit my face, making me feel alive. As we stood outside, Jake leaned in closer, his voice low and inviting. "You know I've always had feelings for you," he said, searching my eyes. My heart raced, and before I knew it, we were locked in a passionate kiss. The world around us disappeared, and in that moment, nothing else mattered. Suddenly, I heard a voice calling my name, cutting through the blissful moment. It was Mark. "Where are you?" he shouted, concern in his voice. Panic shot through me as I pulled away from Jake, my heart pounding. "Stay here. I'll be right back," I whispered to Jake, desperately trying to gather my thoughts. I rushed inside, my pulse racing, but it was too late. Mark had seen everything. His face showed shock and betrayal, a look that would haunt me forever. "What the hell is going on?" he demanded, his voice low but filled with anger. "I can't explain," I stammered, my mind racing. "Explain? You were kissing him outside. How could you do this to me?" The hurt in his voice felt like a dagger to my heart. Tears filled my eyes, but I knew there was no excuse for what I had done. "I'm so sorry, Mark. It just happened. I didn't mean for it to go that far," I pleaded, my voice shaking. Mark's expression turned cold. "You didn't mean for it to go that far? You were flirting with him all night. I trusted you." His words hit me hard like a heavy weight. I had crossed a line I never thought I would. "I know, and I'm so sorry, Please, can we talk about this? I asked, desperate. Talk about what? The fact that you betrayed me in front of everyone? His voice got louder, drawing attention from the other guests. I looked around, seeing curious eyes on us. Let's not do this here. Can we go home and talk privately? Home? He scoffed. You think I want to be anywhere near you right now? The pain in his voice was unbearable, and I felt completely broken. My mind raced with thoughts of what I had done and how I had put everything we built together at risk. Mark turned and stormed out of the venue, leaving me standing there in shock. I felt alone, surrounded by laughter and celebration, like an outsider in my own life. The reality of the situation crashed down on me as the night went on. I felt more and more disconnected from the party. I tried to join in, but every laugh reminded me of my betrayal. I couldn't shake the image of Mark's hurt face from my mind. By the time I left the party, my heart was heavy with guilt and shame. I found Mark sitting in the car, his face buried in his hands. Mark ... I whispered as I reached for him. Please don't touch me, he snapped, pulling away. The sting of his rejection hurt deeply. Please let me explain. He looked at me, his eyes full of anger and heartbreak. Explain what? How you cheated on me? How could you do this? I wasn't thinking. I made a terrible mistake, and I'm so sorry. You mean everything to me, I pleaded, feeling the weight of my words. Everything. Is that why you kissed him? His words cut through me like a knife. It was a moment of weakness. I got caught up in the excitement. Please believe me, it meant nothing. He shook his head, his expression firm. You can't just dismiss it like that. You don't get to do that to me and expect everything to be fine. I can't just forget this. The silence that followed was deafening. I had never seen Mark like this before, and it terrified me. When we got home, I hoped we could talk things through and find a way to save our marriage. Instead, Mark was cold and distant. I need some time to think, he said before going to our bedroom and closing the door behind him. I sat on the couch, overwhelmed by a mix of guilt, regret, and fear. I had ruined the most precious thing in my life. Hours passed, and I tried to give him space, but the silence in the house was unbearable. Finally, I found the courage to knock on the bedroom door. Mark, can we talk? Go away, he replied, his voice muffled. Please, just hear me out. He opened the door slightly, revealing his tired eyes. What is there to talk about? You made your choice. Tears streamed down my cheeks. It was a mistake. I love you, Mark. I want to make this work. Love? Is that what you call this? He snapped, anger flashing in his eyes. You don't treat someone you love like that. You betrayed me, and I can't just pretend it didn't happen. His words hit me like a tidal wave, and I felt completely helpless. I know I hurt you. I'm really sorry. I'll do whatever it takes to make it right, I said, hoping to reach him. I don't know if that's enough, he replied, his voice cracking. I can't look at you right now. I need space. With that, he closed the door, leaving me standing there, shattered. I sank onto the couch, feeling like I was falling into a dark hole. The next few days were a blur of anxiety and regret. Mark was distant, and every time I tried to reach out, he met me with cold silence. I sent texts and left notes, but nothing broke through his walls. One afternoon, I received a text that turned my world upside down. I need to talk. Can you meet me? My heart raced as I quickly agreed. We met at a nearby cafe, and the air was thick with tension. Mark looked tired, his eyes heavy with emotion. Thanks for coming, he said in a low voice. Of course, I've been worried about you, I replied, trying to keep my tone steady. I've thought a lot about what happened, he began, his hands clenched on the table. and I've come to a decision. My heart raced, filled with a mix of hope and dread. What is it? I can't stay in this marriage, he said, and his words hit me like a physical blow. I need a divorce. The word echoed in my mind, and I felt my world crumble. No, Mark, please don't say that. We can fix this. He shook his head. I can't. I trusted you, and you broke that trust in the worst way possible. I don't think I can ever get past this. Desperation clawed at me. Please give us a chance. I'll do anything. I'll go to therapy. I'll change. It's not about that anymore. It's about me protecting myself from getting hurt again. I can't live like this. Tears streamed down my cheeks as I realized the weight of my actions. Mark, please, I love you. I can't imagine my life without you. His expression softened for a moment, but then he hardened again. Love isn't enough when trust is gone. My husband said we should break up. I was heartbroken and couldn't believe how fast things fell apart. I felt so bad for hurting him and myself. I was sad, angry, and guilty. I cried a lot and felt ashamed. I tried to fix my life by working hard and talking to a therapist. I learned about being honest, loyal, and talking in relationships. It was hard, but I wanted to be a better person. I heard about my husband from friends, and it hurt to think of him with someone else. He sent me a message saying he was okay, and it made me miss him. I wanted to tell him how I felt, but I knew it wasn't right. Even though time passed, I still felt bad about losing him. I wished I could go back and do things differently. I finally realized I couldn't change the past, but I could learn from it. I had to accept that he was gone, and so was our marriage. It was hard, but I wanted to be stronger and wiser. Life went on, and I still thought about our marriage. I worked hard to become the person I wanted to be. I dedicated my time to my passions, made stronger friendships, and learned to love myself again. As I prepared for a new chapter in my life, I realized I would always carry the lessons from my past with me. It wouldn't be easy, but I was ready to face whatever the future brought. In the end, I learned that our mistakes don't define who we are. It's how we rise from them that truly matters.